your big Hollywood sunglasses and light the torch, because it's Cellar time. Welcome to the Crack Cellar. As the prophecy was once evolved against its will using a thunderstone. I'm Two-Spirit Penguin Daniel.
And I am successor to the Principality of Zeon, Broadcaster Nickels.
Broadcaster. We're now 2 months into the holy year of 2022. Soon, on the day 2/2/2/2/2, Elden Ring will be unleashed upon us. Are you feeling it? Do you feel the electricity in the air?
No.
I can't believe you're not excited.
I'm gonna buy
for
it. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna play it. Don't worry. I don't know. Something about Elden Ring just doesn't pump me up. I got more pumped up for Sekiro. Or Sekiro. I don't know. Maybe it's just the PR. You know, maybe they're just not doing much for Elden Ring, and they're not trying to give away too much in the trailers, so you get surprised more. And maybe I'll change my tone a little bit, but
yeah, I think it's a subconscious thing with Game of Thrones, because that ending to Game of Thrones was so bad that subconsciously you're like, J.R.R. Martin's gonna ruin Bloodborne too, isn't he?
Yeah, I heard he didn't even really have any involvement with like writing, though. He just had like involvement with world building.
Well,
like,
of course, there is no
fleshing
writing.
out.
This is a fucking Bloodborne Dark Souls game. There's literally
true.
no writing.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Very little writing.
Yeah, I actually saw an interview where one of the creators of the game, I don't know if it's the guy, but it's one of the big guys, was talking about George R. R. Martin's involvement, and he like started to laugh, and he's like, I'm actually kind of worried what his reaction's going to be when he sees what we've done to his creations. Which I don't know what it is about that line, but I loved it. It's just, it just has like this undercurrent to it.
Things change.
Like Pet Cemetery. I was getting some Pet Cemetery vibes.
Yeah.
Sometimes dead's better.
Let me tell you something, Penguin Man. Let me tell you something about things not changing.
Yeah?
Pokemon. I recently picked up I think it's Brilliant Diamond, and then the other one's Shining Pearl. The whole...
How couldn't it be Shining Diamond
at once?
Shining Diamond?
No, Brilliant Diamond.
Why couldn't it be Shining Diamond? That's bullshit. What
Probably
a missed opportunity.
Lawsuits, litigation.
Yeah, okay.
Probably, I don't know.
That would be funny if that was the reason why.
To get to the core of this, Pokemon, this is my first time I've played Pokemon since Gold and Silver.
Yeah.
I think I played the Crystal, but that was just like the ultimate version of Silver and Gold. But it was back in the Game Boy Color days. That was the last time I legitimately played a Pokemon game.
Mm-hmm.
And it has not changed since then. There's been a whole bunch of like stats added, but they didn't even flesh those things out. Literally, they've just been layering convoluted stat systems on top of each other since the last time we played. And it's just gotten so crazy and complex that they don't even tell the players about it. Data miners have to extract it out of the code and tell the community, be like, hey, there actually are hidden stats on all these Pokemons in this, and this way. And you have to do this, and this, and that to be able to get these Pokemon, which turns into this super... dude, I don't even want to get into it too much. I know if there's any Pokemon people listening right now, they know exactly what I'm fucking talking about. The point being is Pokemon has literally not innovated in any way since the 90s. In any significant way since the 90s. It's kind of crazy.
It's ironic because
money they are milking out of the players.
The original Pokemon really like revolutionized RPGs in a certain sense. They created a subgenre of JRPG that to this day has persisted as basically the number two behind like the standard typical format. Like Shin Megami Tensei, for example, uses a system that Pokemon invented. Basically, there was very it was on the forefront. Like they were innovating back in the day, and for you to say that is, I haven't played a Pokemon since I think the very first Game Boy Advance. Was it Ruby? I don't remember.
Yeah, Ruby and Sapphire, I think.
Yeah. So that was the last one I played, which was a long time ago as well. I remember liking it, but I don't remember being blown away by it. It's sad that they're just not really pushing the envelope anymore, and they're just riding the coattails.
Oh, dude, it was mind-boggling how slow the game is too. Like the menus, and so you'll like start an encounter and it's like you encountered blah, and then like a frame of your character releasing your Pokemon goes, and then a frame of the wild Pokemon getting introduced goes, and then there's like these status effects that happen depending on which Pokemon you have, and they'll be like this Pokemon, it's these like text bubbles, like this Pokemon intimidated this Pokemon, and dude, it's crazy how much time it takes just to start a random encounter. Like you think of the grind fest, like in normal RPGs when you have to just level up and do random encounters and all that stuff, and just the monotony of doing all that. It's times 10 in a Pokemon game because just to run into a Pokemon in the wild and run away, I think at least takes 30 seconds.
Wow.
It's crazy, dude, how much time it's just sinks from you.
Yeah, the problem is that Pokemon's fan base is so hardcore that they just know that it doesn't matter. Like, it's going to sell like gangbusters no matter what they do. So I don't think they're really focusing on fixing things like that, which you don't think of it as that much, but when you really like think about how long you're going to play a game and how many of those 30-second intervals you're going to stack up over the course, like you're talking about losing like fucking 20 hours of your life to nothing.
Not nothing, man. It's a Pokemon.
What else you been playing, Broadcaster?
Dude, Hunt Showdown.
God damn it.
Mall.
Not again.
Hunt Showdown.
Not again. Not again,
dude,
Broadcaster.
My soul is in the bayou, okay? Let me tell you. That game has heart, has character, more than any game made in the past 4 years, I'd say. It's the only game I think the only game besides Rocket League that I continually come back to. Where I'm just like, for the past like 3 years, I've played Hunt Showdown and I've never gotten bored of it. No matter how much I get my ass kicked or how many times I go on a winning spree, it just always brings me back.
Well, you know what brings me back, Broadcaster? To an age of greatness in the PC gaming genre, of top-down RPGs. Lost Ark, Broadcaster. It's the return. Or is it?
Thing is about Lost Ark is that Jews made it. I'm just kidding. Whoa, cut.
We're going to have to end this early.
The thing is about Lost Ark is that I think the hype got to me. I think I broke my own rule, where you get so thirsty that when you get that drink of water, you're just like, this is the best cup of water I've ever had in my life. And I think I kind of did that, with Lost Ark. Lost Ark's good. Don't get me wrong. It does some things way better than any of its predecessors have ever done. But at the same time, it's extremely lacking in some departments.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just because I haven't gotten to endgame. But I mean, still, even when you get to endgame, you still have to look at the game in its whole and realize that it doesn't have a lot going on to its open world. They're just kind of monotonous intermission areas where you kind of, I guess, quest, but I don't even know if you call it questing in this game. It's more like
Rapid
clicking
fire
your
mode.
mouse. Yeah.
That's one of the things I like about the game, honestly. I tried Path of Exile about 6 or 7 months ago. I played it for maybe a month and then I quit. I had a lot of problems with Path of Exile. One of the problems I had is how convoluted the questing was in that game, and just like how generic the combat felt. There's just a lot about it that I just felt was lackluster, and everyone told me how great Path of Exile was. And Lost Ark, I heard even more hype about. I went into it very skeptical, but I think it's a good game. I don't really see where all the criticism comes from. Like I've heard a lot of criticism from multiple people where they'll like say, "Oh, it's a phone game, it's low quality and all this shit." Like it's like compared to what, man? Like every game that's come out since Diablo 2 in this genre, I feel like it sucked. Uh Torchlight, everyone was all about Torchlight back in the day. I thought Torchlight was kind of generic cartoony garbage. Torchlight 2 felt the same way. Diablo 3 I didn't think was that good. I think that this game is definitely the best since Diablo 2. What do you think though? Because I never played Hades and I think you did, right?
Yeah, I love Hades.
So is Hades better than Lost Ark to you? Hmm. It's close then, at least, if you're thinking about it that hard.
Yeah, I think, again, I haven't played all of Lost Ark. I
Right, we're
haven't unlocked
talking
all the moves. I
strictly
haven't unlocked.
from
Yeah,
leveling perspective, because both of us are 10 levels before max
nah,
level.
Hades is better.
Hades is better.
From a leveling perspective and just a sheer gameplay loop, I think Hades is more attractive.
Okay.
Because here's and my tune might change when I unlock all the moves and I start, messing around with some of the tiers and stuff like that. Because there are some moves with like the sorceress in Lost Ark, for instance, where I realized that just changing one thing in the tiers on it turns it into a completely different move.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, okay. So once I dabble into that, I might change my tune a little bit. But Hades up front, because I played that a lot and I've beaten it a lot, has a lot of customization and change to the gameplay just on like, I think it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's 6 or 7 really well built weapons. So you have a character, you have 7 weapons that you slowly upgrade and unlock, and then you put these rules on the run you're going to do in the game. Because Hades, if people listening aren't familiar with, is a roguelite, I think is what they refer to it as. Is that what I think that's what they call them?
I don't.
It's essentially a game that's very short.
That's a really
It's meant for you.
umbrella
It's meant for you to
term.
be in it multiple times in a day, essentially. And the whole point of it is that the more and more you beat it, the more and more you unlock, and you can make the rounds harder and more challenging, and then therefore more rewarding, and you get more things to do. Lost Ark is not that game at all. It's more traditional, like Diablo, like a top-down RPG.
Yeah.
But Lost Ark's niche is that it's a Diablo type game, but supposedly an MMO as well, which we will see when I get to Endgame. But I don't know. It's just hard for me to really say Hades is better than Lost Ark because I think Lost Ark's gameplay is the best thing it has going for it. So I really don't want to say Hades is better than Lost Ark in that degree because that's literally why I like Lost Ark because it's gameplay.
I think it's pretty incredible how good the gameplay is, and I mean, I don't think that the game, maybe it didn't deserve as much hype as it got, but I mean, when people detract on it like really hardcore, I'm just kind of puzzled by it a little bit. It's just like, What did you want? This has like amazing Diablo gameplay. It's, like, did you need like a fucking George R. R. Martin novel attached to it for you to enjoy it?
I
Like, I
think
don't.
that would have been. I don't know if you got to go as big as Martin's name, but I think no one's looking for a Hideo Kojima level storyline in every game, but you can appreciate some level of detail to it. Lost Ark's story is garbage. It's bad.
It's a parody. It's a
Yeah,
parody of
it is a parody.
MMOs.
And I think it's the only little string that people can hang on to while playing that game is realizing that it in itself is not taking itself seriously.
Yeah,
But
it's
the
amazing
storyline
how
still
many
sucks.
people think that it is taking itself seriously. I've had so
Yeah.
many conversations with people that like have no idea that the storyline is a parody, and they're just like they think that like the people
Yeah.
localizing this, doing the voice acting, writing the English dialogue, they think that they're all super serious about it. Like they think they're making Lord of the Rings or something. It's like, bro, how many times have you heard them say demons? And you think they're taking themselves seriously? Like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, there's other things about like the rapport system with characters, the whole dating sim element, like that's super dumb to me. And the fact that there's clear monetization of that part of the game. And I don't know if I'm missing out on big experience gains by doing those quests, that I have no interest in. So that's kind of a thing that bugs me about the game too. It's like, do I have to do these dating sim quests to
I doubt it.
further myself in the game? Or
From what I've been told by someone who played the Korean version, you don't need to spend any money if you only want to like raid on one character and main one character. Where you should start spending money is if you're like trying to raid on multiple characters. I don't know why or how, but that's what I was told. So we'll see. We're getting pretty close to max level, and
isn't 50 max level?
I think 40 is. I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
But we can, we can circle back to this and give it a full review when we've got to end game and we've seen everything the game has to offer. But in the meantime, broadcaster, the rings of power are calling. Will you answer?
No.
Haven't you ever wondered
CGI sucks.
what else is out there?
Terrible CGI already. I can.
This world, beyond our wandering.
The fuck? Oh, strong woman number one.
That's a rat girl. What are you talking about? Oh, here we go. Here's strong woman. I'm guessing that's supposed to be Galadriel. Oh, black elf catching arrows. That looks like Don Lemon's son or something. Is that young Hugo Weaving right there? Is that supposed to be? I always forget fucking Hugo's character's name. It starts with an E, right? It's like Erwin or something. I don't know. Well, looks like garbage to me. I'm not gonna lie. First of all, I don't know who needs to hear this. Maybe the wrong people, but Lord of the Rings is an Anglo-Saxon story, and I don't remember I don't remember there being any black elves.
Yeah.
That type of stuff worries me. That's the type of stuff that makes me think they're taking strong liberties in the creative department.
A lot of femme energy in that trailer.
Of course.
Very much reminiscent of our last preview, the Halo, the series. Same energy, right?
Oh, of course.
Same exact energy. Just
the
sort
same
of
shit everywhere.
just a little low T, a lot of feminized characters that don't quite match up to what you're expecting. The only dwarf looked like they made him sparkly, like a Twilight vampire. I'm not quite sure about that. Like you said, the CG looked low budget. Like it looked worse than the CG in Return of the King from 2002 or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not impressed.
Nothing interesting in that trailer at all.
Dude, should've
The
been.
what was with the two people walking on the mountain with giant
Oh, that was just
antlers?
one of those iconic trailers, intro scenes,
It was like moose
Mountainscape.
antlers.
Yeah, that's elves ride on those giant moose, remember?
That's what that was?
I'm guessing
That was-
those were humans or some kind hunting the moose.
Jesus Christ. Do you think that elf, that very feminine looking male elf that they show for a second, do you think
You mean
that's
Don Lemon Jr.?
No. The white one who looked like he might be supposed to be Orlando Bloom's character, a bit younger.
Oh, dude,
You didn't notice that?
If that's Legolas, I'll fucking.
I don't know for sure, but like, because they only showed him for like 1 second. Like they don't like. Oh, we don't want to show too much white male. We'll give you 1 second in the trailer to show a white male who doesn't look like a.
Just crazy how much this shit sucks now, dude.
There's a
Hold
1
on,
second.
let me
quota.
drink the last of my whiskey here. 1 second. Hold. Just pause real quick. Hold. Stand by. Isn't it just crazy how much shit sucks now, dude? Insane. How long was that? It was a minute long. Let's be honest. It was like 50 seconds long if we're not counting the Amazon Prime intro.
Mm-hmm.
So 50 seconds and it pissed me off. It already pissed me off. It already burned me. 50 seconds and I can tell that they're not being faithful at all to the original material. 50 seconds, and I just feel like the Principality of Xeon needs to rise again.
Oh shit! Yeah, this is brutal, man. How many times now have we seen like resurrections of like childhood shit that we would like in theory? On paper, you'd just love to see. This is one of those things. A Lord of the Rings TV series, 2022, using the most advanced effects they have. Like, you think of, like, Mandalorian level CG and, like, budget, and you're just, like, transposing that onto a Lord of the Rings TV show, and it's just like, oh, the potential. And then you see that trailer, and it just becomes clear that this is just another woke cash grab. This is just them wokening another beloved property that doesn't need nor deserve it, just to check some boxes with some corporate SJW people that think this is the future. We're trendsetters, even though, like, really it's getting passe at this point, the whole, like, woke washing angle. At this point, don't you feel like it's getting to the point where it's not even like...
I think woke washing was just like one of the... I don't know if it's the final iteration or if it's just one of near the final iterations of this latest chapter of creative bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I swear, dude, we're just in this mire of no creativity in every sector of entertainment. And I've said this over and over. And this trailer just is another example. Let's try Lord of the Rings. We have enough money. Let's get a big name like Lord of the Rings and we'll just it can't fail.
Yeah.
We've said that how many times? It can't fail. It's insert big IP here. You know, but they diversify and colorify and whatever the fuck you want to call it until it is DOA. And they can't help but do it. It's just crazy.
Yeah, whoever owns the estate of Tolkien should be ashamed for letting them make this, because if I was him and I was somehow able to like peer through the skies of heaven to take a look at what they're doing to my thing that I created 100 years ago or whatever, I wouldn't be too happy about this. This is like some real backstabbing sort of like ruining something that someone created lovingly. At least that's what it seems like. I mean, we've only seen a 1-minute trailer, but everything in that trailer indicates to me that he would be rolling in his grave.
Dude, and no one wants it. Nobody wants this. It's the craziest part, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the average SJW doesn't even read fiction. They don't consume entertainment, nerd entertainment, really. Like, the average SJW is someone that watches reality television and is glued to their phone on social media, and that's about it. So, like, when they do this, they're not even doing it for a real reason, because they're only pissing off the actual people that watch this shit, and the people they think that they're making this for won't even watch it. They're never going to. They don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, it is one of the weirdest things about the whole thing, is that these pieces of entertainment that are turned into the opposite of what their viewer base is, in the name of people that digest the content secondhand via social media.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's very weird. And I don't know how it makes money in the end. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, we're going to get to Book of Boba Fett here soon. And it's pretty much a great series, besides 1 or 2 episodes.
You wouldn't
and
know
those
that.
episodes stand out. And you know why they stand out? For this exact reason we just explained. It's like this. It's the opposite of cancer. Something you can't detect initially. It just slowly eats away, and then you wonder, what happened to my beloved whatever, you know? And you can look back and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't see that. It slowly happened. Okay, yeah. No, it's the exact opposite of that. It's like throbbing in front of your fucking face. You're like, what is going on? Like, you got a migraine. You're like, like there's a gas leak in the room. You're like, wait a minute. Why are there colorful bikes? Wait a minute. What am I watching? It's these weird things that happen in all pieces of entertainment now. Like, Black Elves or young beta Orlando Bloom Legolas, you know? And you're just like, wait a minute. Your brain just, you got an alarm bell going off. The gas starts leaking in the room. And you're just like, no, wait a minute. This can't be right. Anyways.
Yeah. It's a bummer, man. It's just, it sucks to see this continue to happen, and you just wonder how long it'll happen. I mean, we could be wrong here. We could be overreacting. It's possible this will end up being a good series, and just, it was a bad trailer that showcased.
Yeah, when Smog comes in and burns the whole thing fucking down.
Yeah, like you imagine, like, what if they did a 1-minute trailer for the Book of Boba Fett where they mainly highlighted the fucking Power Rangers on the Vespas? We would be saying the same thing about Book of Boba Fett, but then you watch the whole thing and it was pretty good for the most part. I guess we can just hope that that's what's going to happen with Lord of the Rings, but that's definitely not the vibe I'm getting. I feel like
there's no way, because in that 50 seconds, we would have saw something tantalizing, something to tickle our balls, dude. There's no way in that teaser reel there's any hope. The light of Galadriel is diminished. The darkness is taken over these lands.
Yeah.
Sauron's eye is burning into our heads right now, dude. He is taking us over.
Yeah. Yeah, and the funny thing, too, is that if that trailer that we just watched, if you look at the comments, did you happen to see the comments?
Oh yeah, I've seen this over and over. This is how I found out about the trailer when we were talking about before we started recording. This is exactly what popped in my head because Alex was telling me about how all the videos and trailers are just spammed with this one comment.
Yeah, evil is not capable of creating anything new. It can only distort and destroy what has been invented or made by the forces of good, which is a quote attributed to Tolkien himself. I don't know if that's really a quote because, like, when it comes to quotes, you have a lot of like,
Well, it's not a direct quote from him; it's from the books.
is it
So it's something he wrote for a character to say,
okay?
but he wrote it. He's the original creator, so
Yeah,
technically it is a quote of him.
and
Of his.
okay, well, it is a very very wise quote, or it's very wise writing. It's a wise line when you really think about what it means when you're saying that.
Yeah.
It's so true.
I'm pretty sure it's. And I'm not a huge lore nerd for Lord of the Rings or anything, but I'm pretty sure it's relevant somehow to the creation of orcs and how they're corrupted elves.
Yeah,
I think that's where that comes from somehow.
Well, broadcaster, as you know, here in the Crack Cellar, we like to think of ourselves as
these are hours ago. Wow.
Yeah, it's
holy
like,
shite.
It's crazy. It's like hundreds of thousands of the same comment. And you look at this and it's like, okay, this woke washing shit has hit critical mass. People are starting to revolt. I've never seen anything like this with any other woke washing of any other properties. Like
why people are like, don't touch our Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, like when Star Wars first started doing it, and like all these other big properties, you didn't see this type of reaction. Now you're seeing like just like a very strong, aggressively strong reaction from the fan base, and it makes you wonder, man.
Lord of the Rings might just be close enough to the core of nerdom, because fantasy, that type of stuff, it gets kind of close to the core of pure nerdom. So maybe by the time you start interacting with these IPs and trying to do woke shit, there's just no real room for it, because there's just a huge gap between people that actually watch that stuff and the people that are even willing to even have a conversation about it, aka social media clicks and stuff like that. So that might be what's going on here. There's just no one to do defense for them on social media, because there's just such a huge divide between the people that watch it and the people that would even remotely give a fuck about it.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon also just released a TV series for the Wheel of Time books, which is sort of in the same. I mean, it's definitely not as big as Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit or anything like that.
It's still nerd shit,
but it is, and they basically did to Wheel of Time what we think they're about to do to Lord of the Rings based on this trailer. It was very, very woke washed, and it also had a distinct tonal difference from the books, where they were clearly trying to turn this into like a blood, sex, and rock and roll Lord of the Rings type of thing, whereas the actual Wheel of Time books were more family friendly, more high fantasy, more like Lord of the Rings, the original book Lord of the Rings. So Amazon just seems to be at the forefront. Isn't the Halo series also something vaguely to do with Amazon? Or am I imagining that? Are they like a production company on it, or they're involved somehow with the Halo series?
Don't know.
I might be making that up, but either way, it seems like
I don't
Amazon
know, or I don't care. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
It seems like Amazon is at the forefront of this shit right now. It makes you wonder if maybe they'll be the first ones to like buckle and reverse course, because this backlash, and it hasn't even come out yet. This pre-backlash is astonishing.
I don't know how much you can go back though.
Well,
They
definitely the
logged
first season's
shot.
in can.
They have a lot of people. Yeah, exactly.
The second season, I guess they could maybe, bring it back more to a traditional direction of, and like, I don't even really care about black elves don't make sense. They like, it's stupid and it's insulting to black people. I'm so sick of this like thing where it's like, oh, if you say you have a problem with black elves, you're a racist. It's like, no, I fucking love Spawn. I love Jax from Mortal Kombat. I love all kinds of black characters and all kinds of entertainment. It is insulting to say, oh, you can't have your own stuff, black people. We just have to copy paste you onto this other stuff because you can't hold your own IP or your own story.
It's to say that their stuff's not good enough.
Exactly.
To put up there. It's like, dude, holy crap. We would be having a huge discussion right now if you turned any black IP or you did any new black IP with a white face or any other diversity for that matter. Do an Indian Blade,
Oh my God.
do fucking like whatever. Like people will be revolting, dude. It's just not cool to do. Okay.
No. And, seems like the tide might be turning, but we'll see. I've thought that a few times and it hasn't happened yet, but
an Indian Blade would probably be pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie to it. Think about that for a second.
Well, Broadcaster, I want you to take that energy and bring it into your crackpot prediction of the day. We have quite the trailer here to base on this theory on, Broadcaster. Tell me, what outlandish thought do you have? Where will this go in the most extreme, disturbed, demented way you can think of? How far down the rabbit hole will they go?
Sure. So I'm thinking instead of like, he was bitten by a vampire and turned into a daywalker. He's an Indian man that went to have some lunch and around 3:00 and had some really spicy curry, right? And he was on the toilet for like, I don't know, 8 hours, something like that. So long that it became nighttime, right? And he had to go home, do some pretty shady alleys and, ish Bangladesh. I don't know, whatever.
Wow.
Sorry, guys. Not cultured enough to tell this story fully, but he's going down this alley. It's pretty shady, and he gets bit by a normal vampire. But mixing the spicy curry with the normal vampire DNA, he becomes a daywalker.
Oh,
the
shit!
Indian daywalker. Is that what you wanted? What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, Lord of the Rings. Anyways, 50 seconds really made me want to take a shit like I've been eating curry all day. So, I think it's DOA unless they do some heavy reshoots, which they probably will announce and probably do very little of. Be probably heavy editing. People will be scratching their heads when they see Don Lemon Jr. like suck 8 elf's dicks.
Oh,
that's probably going to be like a 3-minute full frontal scene in that show. I can already see it happening.
So you're going the gay porn angle. Okay.
I mean,
interesting.
It's so hot right now.
Well, I mean, that trailer lends itself to gay porn. I felt
hold on.
energy.
Let me dial it back 1 second. Don Lemon Jr. the second and Orlando Bloom, the young and powerful, make heavy eye contact. Then 6 strongly diverse, maybe male, but definitely masculine elves. Gender, not specific, but all have dicks.
Eyeshadow.
Again, gender, not specific. Then they go on a suck fest. Okay. It's going to be huge on Twitter. There's my crackpot theory.
I think that crackpot theory is literally what made Russell Brand turn right wing. I think that you just did it for the world, Broadcaster.
Dude, Russell Brand, dude. What a direction that man went in.
Well, broadcaster, my prediction is quite simple. I believe that the orcs and Mordor and Sauron and all that is going to be turned into a analogy for Trump and Trump supporters. I think that orcs are going to sort of be portrayed sort of more intelligent than they used to be. Like before in the movies and in the books, they're kind of portrayed as like sort of like these savage beasts that are like human adjacent, like just enough to where they can like kind of act like people, but more or less they're beasts, walking beasts. I think they're going to make them a little bit more human. I think that they're going to make them look a little bit more white. I think that they're going to give them a political direction that is going to be akin to Trump supporters. They're going to like make them like, the elves are bringing in globalism and we're fighting for national. Like they're going to make it like some sort of nationalist talking point that the orcs are fighting for. And I think they're going to put a giant hairpiece on Sauron. And he's going to say things like tremendous.
Dude, that'd be a dope ass Sauron, dude. Sauron lays down. Like, think about this. He just just puts his hand out and there's like fucking 3 powerful supreme dragons, tremendous dragons, just lay the ground to waste. And then he's just like, it's huge.
Yeah.
Dude, that'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah. And the dragon will be named Mar-Lago.
Dude.
Yeah.
No, dude, the castle. His castle's Mar-Lago, dude. Fucking the dragons are more like, who is that press secretary, that hot ass press secretary?
Oh,
Kaylee McKinney or
yeah, Meckley or something like that.
Yeah, she's one of the dragons, no doubt. She's head dragon.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind spending the night at that roost.
Melania's definitely one too. She's like the quiet sleeper. She's the one that like looks like she's retired, but if you fucking piss her off, dude, she's gonna do a huge spirit bomb on everybody.
Yeah. All right, broadcaster. Well, I guess we'll see someday soon just how bad it is. But in the meantime, we have something else to talk about.
The country's bad, dude. It's bad.
The Book of Boba Fett has come.
Cut it. Rewind.
How dare you disrespect Tamura Morrison and his Singapore Bay brothel or whatever the fuck that
Polynesian spa, Mr. Penguin.
Broadcaster, are you ready to get to our review of Season 3 of The Mandalorian? I mean, the Book of Boba Fett Season 1, Broadcaster. Are you ready?
I want a Polynesian spa. And we're live
with our review of Season 1 of the Book of Boba Fett and the clandestine quadroons who created this extravaganza describe it as the following. The legendary bounty hunter Boba Fett navigates the underworld of the galaxy with mercenary Fennec Shand when they return to the sands of Tatooine to stake their claim on the territory formerly ruled by the deceased crime lord Jabba the Hutt. Broadcaster.
Synopsis.
That was is one of the better ones I've read recently.
Out of all the synopsises you've read, think about that.
That was a good
that's
one.
probably like top 5, right? Top 3?
Simple, straight
usually
to
these
the
are
point.
Garbage. Usually these are trash.
I mean, half the time they're like totally nothing to do with the actual product they're describing too. I've been baffled by some of them, just like it doesn't even describe what I just watched at all, but okay.
To be honest, I usually just like blank out for a few seconds while you're reading synopsis because it usually just pisses me off. But that one I was like, wow, that was actually like to the point.
Yeah. All right, broadcaster. So We found out about the Book of Boba Fett, its existence at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian. Grogu goes with Luke after Luke takes down a lot of people, and Moff Gideon. Mando steals the Darksaber, and that's a wrap, right?
Whoa. Steals the Darksaber?
Okay,
Won
he
it.
reclaimed his birthright. All right,
In
whatever.
combat. Okay. That's a serious offense in Mandalore. Okay.
Yes. So you're thinking, oh, I'm going to see like a preview, a sort of like teaser of the next season of Mando. But what we instead are given is a teaser for a quote unquote new show called The Book of Boba Fett. Flash forward to now. We have watched The Book of Boba Fett, a 7-episode, described as a mini-series. I know most TV shows are low episode count seasons. That's kind of just the standard. But I think anything under 10 puts it in mini-series status. That's my line. I don't know how you think of it, but 7 episodes. All written by Jon Favreau, by the way. Every single one. Most of them directed by Robert Rodriguez, but a few of them directed by some other randos. Chapter 5, episode 5, was actually directed by Ron Howard's daughter. Super random.
Salute to female Ron Howard.
Yeah, that's one of the best episodes of the season, in my opinion, and she directed it. So, I mean, credit where credit's due. Dave Filoni directed episode 6, which probably is the best episode. I don't know, man. That back 3, is there a stronger back final 3 episodes of a season that you can think of in recent memory?
Oh, dude. No.
Yeah.
No.
There was a lot of shit talking about Book of Boba Fett early on. I remember right after episode 1 came out, I was taking a dump on the toilet and I was reading, as I do, and I saw a hot take review saying, the Book of Boba Fett doesn't deserve to exist. This should not have ever been created. This is the worst Star Wars thing since blah, blah, blah. I think they said it's the worst Star Wars thing since the Christmas special, which is like, that's like a deep, deep, deep cut of an insult. Also where Boba Fett debuted, by the way. So I think that was probably why he said that. What do you think about the beginning? Because I think we both agree that this is a backloaded TV show. I don't think you would disagree with that. Let's talk about the front.
I have a problem with one episode, and it's, I don't think it's in particular. It's just one. It's a big element of that episode. Don't get me wrong, but there are other parts of the episode that are awesome. I wish they were better, but still, they're good nonetheless. Like, we'll start from episode 1. Episode 1 was awesome.
Yeah, I liked it too.
I thought it could have been better. Like, the whole him getting out of the Sarlacc. I thought that could have actually been cooler. Like, him just, somehow moving in its stomach and grabbing the oxygen and breathing it and then lighting it on fire, and then cutscene, come back, and he's just punching his way out of the sand.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm appreciating what I'm getting here because this is some dope-ass shit. But it's kind of like, well, I mean, if you guys are going to do it, flesh it out a little bit more. Don't make it so, non-believable. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's my main problem with the first episode, is what you just talked about. And I don't think that it's necessarily bad. I think the problem is, ever since we found out Boba Fett's still alive, every single Star Wars nerd on the planet has been racking their brains as to how it's possible he survived Return of the Jedi. Like, his death in Return of the Jedi was so succinct, so definitive. Like, no one in the world believed he was still alive. And then when we find out he is, I feel like there's just a lot of like mental pressure to be like, you have to justify this. There has to be some crazy shit.
Real fans have known Boba Fett's been alive for a long time. I mean, let's be real.
The
real fans, Mr. Penguin.
Yes. I think for something like this, that every single fan was just like, how the fuck did he get out alive? I can't wait to see this. And then they show it in this first episode, and it is just so glossed over. It is like 30 seconds of the fucking episode, and it's just kind of like
dope 30 seconds, don't get me wrong.
It
Him
is.
just like reaching over and grabbing that oxygen hose. He's just like, fuck you, if I die, you die, bitch.
I liked what was there. I just don't think there was enough of it. I think that they could have given that whole part a couple more minutes of screen time.
Definitely. It could have just... I think the Sarlacc just has so much opportunity to be explained a little bit more, and they could have used that opportunity and Boba Fett coming back and him having to escape out of thing to just make it one overall better scene. Mm-hmm. The fact that they just keep the Sarlacc as this esoteric, weird desert creature, you know, that never really gets fully explained unless you want to read, like, you know, tomes of lore online or read a book.
None of which are canon, so it's...
Yeah.
But what is canon at this point? Who fucking knows?
Once upon a time, it was. I was there.
Yeah. So I think the most controversial part of the Book of Boba Fett is the fact that for the first 4 episodes, the episodes take place both in current time, as in like time of the Mandalorian, time of old Boba Fett, time of like when the series is actually taking place, and flashbacks with his past from basically the point where he escapes the Sarlacc all the way up to where he joins the Mandalorian later on. Like they basically go through that whole time period, which is something I wanted to see, and I wasn't unhappy about that. But a lot of people were, Broadcaster. Most of the criticism I saw early on this show were the flashbacks. What did you think about them?
I mean, I don't know.
Sounds like
I'm so disappointed with most Star Wars nowadays that when I watch this, it's, you know, I go back to the whole being thirsty thing. You know, when you're thirsty, that cup of water tastes real good. Mm-hmm. You know, so who knows? Maybe maybe they do have a point. Maybe these connoisseurs out there, I don't have the acquired taste to hear what they're talking about.
Yeah,
but to me, this is way better than The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens, or what was that other one?
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker.
The dumbest name.
It's better than all that. By a landslide, it's better than all that. You know, one episode in this series is better than most of all 3 of those movies. All right? So that's where I'm coming from.
I still like Rise of Skywalker. I know that it's it's a controversial take. Most people don't like Rise of Skywalker, but I enjoyed Rise of Skywalker. Being said, I agree with you that all of the Jon Favreau Star Wars is better. I agree.
Yeah, dude. But that being said, I think there is criticism to be had because it's all kind of just... I'll say what I said earlier, but more strongly echoed. It's just kind of lame. You know, the Sarlacc moment's lame. The whole being with the Tusken Raiders for so long is kind of lame. You know, Boba Fett, I think people just expect... Boba Fett got put on this pedestal of being this silent... He was this nobody character that got killed off, and then through like pop culture got propped up on the pedestal and turned into this badass that everyone wanted back, kind of thing. And then they did it and no matter what you can do, he's not going to be like Goku. He's not going to be Superman. He's a human being. He's flawed. He doesn't have superpowers. He's not a Jedi. He is a Mandalore, or no, he's not even a Mandalorian. Like people that read the books and stuff like that. You can't even get that angle on him. Where he's like, why is this Mandalorian so? He's not even a legit like actual Mandalorian.
Django was.
Django was, yeah. And Django was not cool to Boba. Django was a bad father.
Yeah.
Listeners, raise your kids.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the flashback where it shows him as a kid again from the Clone Wars watching Django fly off in Slave One. And you're just sitting there thinking, Mace Windu about to behead somebody.
That's real.
Yeah, I liked the flashbacks a little bit. Okay, I wouldn't say I like them as much as I didn't hate them. When I watched the first episode, I hadn't heard anything about the show yet, so I went in totally blind. I watched it just total natural reaction, no biases, no one in my ear about it. And when I finished the episode, I was like, that was good, but what is the deal with these flashbacks? Is this just a 1 episode thing? When it became clear that it was like a 4 episode thing, I'd say in the middle of it, like around episode 3, I was kind of like, okay. Because was it episode 3 or episode 2 where like 80% of the episode was the flashbacks and they almost like showed nothing of the current time, like maybe 5 minutes of the current time? Was that 2 or 3?
That was 2, I think.
Yeah, that was the episode where I was just like, okay, I don't mind you doing this, but like we all want to see the now. Like no one is watching this for the backstory at this point. Like, yeah, we wanted to know how he got out of the Sarlacc pit. Yes, but we don't want to, like, no one really gives a fuck about the fucking sand people shit. I
think, yeah, that had to be 2, because the whole sand people
it was 2 or 3
ended with 2. Mm-hmm. Or was, no, because no. It ended with 3. Because 3 kind of redeemed itself by, like, because the part of the end of the Tusken Raiders storyline was at the end of 3, I think. Like the end of the train.
Yeah.
And them dying or whatever, like him like leaving and going on his conquest and then coming back and seeing him dead or something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't hate it. There were some points where I was like, okay, let's get on with it. But I was never like, oh, this is the worst. This is like watching fucking Rose Tico. Like, we never got into Rose Tico territory here.
Damn, dude.
One thing though that I was a little disappointed with, and this is another one of the popular criticisms of the show, is some of Boba Fett's dialogue felt like out of place. Now, you already touched on the fact that everyone put Boba Fett on the pedestal. This character that had like 2 lines in the original trilogy, died in the original trilogy. People have like projected so much onto this character at this point that there was never a chance he'd live up to the expectations.
Well, I'll give the fan base something. It wasn't them originally that did it. There was somebody said Boba lived. That was in a book. That's what bred this whole culture. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah. So I guess the point is, I do think Boba Fett talked a little too much in this show. I think that he did. I don't think that it was like unforgivable. I don't think they ruined the character. I came out of this show thinking Boba Fett's a badass, just like I thought before I watched the show. Nothing changed. But there are a few parts of especially in the early episodes, where he's just talking too much. He's kind of gabbing a little bit, where it's like, you kind of look at it and be like, well, no, Boba Fett should be a little bit more quiet, and Fennec Shand should be doing a little bit more of the gabbing for him because she is his lieutenant, right? It kind of brushed because like they kind of portrayed it more as a partnership rather than Fennec Shand works for him, which felt weird because at times it felt like they wanted you to think they were partners, and at other times they made it very clear that Fennec Shand was working for Boba Fett, not his partner. So it's just, I don't know. There's some weird tonal shifts in this show that are, you kind of just wonder, could this have been cleaned up a little?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with your point. But you actually bring up two things I want to talk about. The relationship between Boba Fett and Fennec. I kind of like what you just brought up. The fact that like she clearly is like working for him, but does not want to be. Like it's obviously setting up some type of rivalry in the future, which I think has a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is I think I'm not quite sure what it is. If it's a mixture between Temura, is that how you say his name? Temura?
Yeah.
Temura.
Let's just call him the Polynesian kid from now on.
Yeah, the Polynesian spa god, T. Morrison, is what I'll say. I don't know if it's him trying work into his contract that he doesn't want to wear a helmet too much. He wants to have his face out there because he's trying to build his acting career. Because from what I understand, he hasn't acted too much, or if it's some weird thing because Mandalorian, so much to do with the Mandalorian's character is him not removing his helmet and kind of being silent. Like they don't want to do that to Boba Fett. They want to make more of an older, more relaxed Boba Fett while let Mandalorian take over that traditional role they see Boba Fett. Because that's kind of like what Mandalorian started out as, a new modern Boba Fett that was mocking his style, the silent tough guy, that won't remove his helmet, which wasn't really a spoken thing about the character, but it was more unspoken. But nonetheless, you never saw his face. He didn't say much. In fact, I'm pretty sure there was only one line. He said one thing, right?
In the original trilogy?
Yeah, it was like one line. We was talking about rifles, certain alien rifles disintegrate good or something like that. Banta rifles or something like that.
I think he has... All right, so I think he has one line. So in Empire Strikes Back, when Piet is on the Executor with all the bounty hunters...
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he has the one line there. But I think that he has another line in Return of the Jedi too, right?
Really?
I think he does. I think he has one line.
What is it? Freeze?
I really don't remember. I feel like he does, but I can't remember what the line is, and I could just be imagining it. But I feel like he has another line. But either way, the character had no more than 2 or 3 lines in the entire trilogy. And that's being generous.
For sure. You gotta be doing some digging too. You gotta be digging in your mind pretty deep to be like, yeah, Boba Fett actually had 2.5, 3 lines. What do you know? Split hairs here.
Yeah, and my imagination might be creating those extra lines. Maybe he never actually said them, but my brain's like, oh no, he said these, just like to justify how badass he is. Like, no, you had to have more than one line. Yeah. Maybe he didn't, though. I don't fucking know anymore. But one thing I do know is Pedro Pascal is probably super. He is probably super butthurt about Book of Boba because I'm sure you heard all of the rumors about him being very upset about his character never taking his mask off because he's a fucking vain actor who wants FaceTime. And like there's like legends about him on set where he'd be doing these scenes and he'd just randomly take his helmet off and start doing it without the helmet, even though the script clearly says you don't take your helmet off ever. It's a part of your character. He would just do it, and he'd piss off the directors and the writers and shit, and they'd have to reshoot scenes. And apparently he threatened to walk off at one point, walk off the set if they didn't let him take his helmet off more or something. Seeing Boba Fett basically be helmetless for 75% of the show, I just knew every time I saw him without his helmet, like, Pedro Pascal's fuming. There's a vein popping out in his forehead right now as he watches this.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the defense of, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm a few fingers deep in the whiskey, but I think I'm gonna go to the defense of Pedro Pascal real quick.
Okay, this is interesting.
When I'm really thinking about it, if I was in his shoes, right, and I got the role for the Mandalorian, I'm sure they explained to him in some way that he was the Mandalorian. What I'm trying to say, without going on a rant, is that I'm sure in some way it was pitched by his manager or anybody of significance to Pedro that he was going to actually be physically playing in some capacity the Mandalorian, when in reality that's not true. He's a voice actor in this show. And I think they probably did not emphasize that enough to him, and they didn't emphasize that enough in the contract and stuff like that, and they didn't in that capacity not telling him that he went into the role thinking it was going to be more and signed contracts thinking it was going to improve his career in certain ways, when it's not. He's a voice act. He was voice acting. Maybe he didn't want that.
Well,
So maybe that's why he kind of pushed back in that way. I'm just gonna give him the benefit of the doubt.
well, I'll tell you, the rumor is that in season 1 of Mandalorian, he actually was the guy in the suit. He wasn't just voice acting. He was the man in the suit.
Oh, really?
That is what I have heard. Now, what I've also heard is that after season 1 wrapped, at the very end is when this whole like famous story of him like taking his helmet off and like getting butthurt about like not showing his face and then threatening to quit the show. From what I have heard, they told him, okay, you can stay on as just a voice actor and we'll just get some guy to be in the suit. And that's why he stayed, because he didn't actually have to be on set anymore. And he was just a voice actor at that point.
Well, and in that way, good on him. Mm-hmm. Because if that was the problem and it was settled in that way, then fair is fair, right?
Yeah, and to be fair, you don't need him to be in the suit if he is never going to take the mask off. So it makes sense. Like, that should have been the way it was to begin with. But maybe they were like, well, we want like authenticity with his movements matching his voice. I don't know.
He's a really small guy, though. So it actually, he's really short. So it actually makes sense for filming the show to get a different guy to do it who's taller, because it just makes doing scenes easier.
Yeah.
But that being said, that was one of my most hated scenes of all Mandalorian season 1 and 2 was
when he took the mask off.
Yeah, when he took his mask off.
It was bad.
It was so lame, but it's been recovered with episode 5, which is, in my opinion, the best episode by far. We're kind of skipping over.
Okay.
In my opinion. But we're skipping over episode 4. But, whatever. Nonetheless, the story they set up, I'm not trying to explain too much of 4 or 5. Him getting punished by the Forge Master for removing his helmet.
Yep.
And sent on a quest to these mines that are supposedly destroyed was some of the coolest shit, in my opinion, I've heard in Star Wars history. Like, that moment, I was just my fists were clenched. I was like, this is so dope.
Yep.
This is like going on a quest in a video game. It's just giving me this huge rush of nostalgia right now that it doesn't exist. It technically doesn't exist. It never happened, but it's such a cool feeling I got from that scene.
Yeah, the armor is just such a cool character.
Is that her name, the Armor?
Yeah, that's what they call her. I don't know if this is from like some established lore from the extended universe or some shit. But whoever came up with this armorer character, they should write way more stuff. Like, great character, great archetype, great plot revolving around her. If you think about every scene that the armorer's been in, she has stolen it.
Dude, absolutely. Dude, when he takes the spear off his back and she's just like, the very existence of this weapon,
Yes,
is
a threat to the Mandalore or whatever.
Yeah, and he's like, then we melt it.
Yep.
It's like, this is the way. It was so dope.
Great writing, great dialogue. Yeah. And
the whole speech for the foundling too. He's like, we melt it for a foundling. It ends up being Grogu.
Yeah.
She's just like, the whole thing about their ideologies standing against each other. That was just great. That was so well done.
Yeah, it was. A lot of people like made fun of episode 5, and it was mostly people that were really anti Book of Boba Fett before episode 5 that were like calling it the worst thing ever, just calling it trash, blah blah
Dude,
blah.
what?
When episode 5 came out, those people pivoted to say, "Oh, episode 5 is good, but it's not Book of Boba Fett. It's the Mandalorian."
It is.
Well, no, it is correct, but
it's even called The Return of the Mandalorian.
the point is that these people that were so against the show didn't want to give the show credit when it started to bounce back, and they just came up with like an excuse to be like, "Oh no, it doesn't count because Boba Fett wasn't in it." And it's like, right. But you understand that Jon Favreau wrote this entire show, and he wrote all of Mandalorian. This is all his cinematic universe. Like, when you look at the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian, this is now its own Star Wars universe that's unified. And when you get to chapter 5 and you go to chapter 6 and you go to chapter 7, the final 3 episodes of Book of Boba Fett, it becomes crystal fucking clear that there is no difference between Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian. It is basically a shadow season 3 of The Mandalorian that just happens to focus on Boba and Fennec early on.
I think it's just a side story of the whole Mandalorian series or universe that Jon Favreau is building. I think he's just running with a section of Star Wars lore that no one's really expanded upon, which is the Mandalore. And season 1 and 2 was the Mandalorian, and now we're just getting a kind of a side story of the Book of Boba Fett. Now that he has control of that IP, he can give fans what they want. He can evolve the character of Boba Fett, and that's exactly what he did. Season 3 is still coming for the Mandalorian, no doubt. There's no doubt about it. And I think in hindsight, we're going to look back at the Book of Boba Fett as just that, a side story, a side season, where they kind of were setting maybe future stuff up that we have no idea about.
Yeah. I don't know.
I can't believe people were upset about 5 at all. Dude,
no, they weren't. They weren't upset about it. They were making fun of. They were making fun of it. They're like, "Oh, you finally have a good episode, and there's no Boba Fett in it." Like it was that type of shit.
Fuck them, dude.
It's just like super petty bullshit. That's all coming from.
Are they really mad about the guy that plays Boba Fett? Is that what this is about?
I don't know exactly what it's about, dude, but like some of the response that I saw to the early episodes, where granted, the first half of the show is not even close to as good as the second half. We can both agree on that.
Oh, dude, but the last 3 episodes are extremely better than the other.
Legendary. 4, I would go as far to say
no one's going to argue that.
The final 3 episodes of Book of Boba Fett are legendary, a legendary stretch of television history. There is very little out there that can claim a 3-episode arc.
It is
that's
crazy.
this good.
it's crazy how many different sections of the fan base they brought together in those 3 episodes.
Oh, I know.
They got Mandalorian fans. They got old school fans. They got Clone Wars fans, Rebel fans. Dude, they got everybody in those 3 episodes.
Yeah, and speaking of voice acting, our boy Luke is back, and
Yep.
I really want to know what they are doing to make Luke sound like his younger self, because I'm sure you noticed this.
Deep fake.
He sounds exactly like he sounded in the 70s and in the 80s when they originally filmed the first trilogy. His voice sounds like his old voice. And as you know, Mark Hamill doesn't sound like that anymore. But it is Mark Hamill doing the voice acting. So they are doing some magic tricks to make him sound like his younger self again, and I'm very curious how they are doing it.
I think it's probably some type of machine learning, deep fake technology, where they just probably have some type of AI machine learning program playing the first original 3 trilogy movies over and over and over, replicating his voice.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe nothing crazy like that, but something along those lines.
Yeah, I don't know, but like when they brought him back for the final episode of Mando season 2, he didn't talk very much. So it's like, okay, it's pretty easy when it's just such a limited scope to do something like this. But when they brought him back, was it episode 6? Yeah, episode 6, where dude, episode 6,
Jedi in your pants
Jedi Master Luke Skywalker is the main character of the fucking episode. He's in it like 90%. It's basically him training Grogu.
Can we just like hold on a second? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but episode 5 starts with a butcher shop scene. Mandalorian just chopping
so good.
The dark saber, so good. Episode 6 just starts with a peaceful garden scene with Luke Skywalker and Grogu and Ahsoka. Happy friends time. Quite the contrast. Anyways, go on.
Yeah. For them to be able to produce his voice in this way for an entire episode of him, he had probably like 30 lines in this episode. Like, he talked a lot. And it was perfect. It sounded like I was literally listening to Mark Hamill from the early 80s.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what gives me credence to my theory that maybe there's something that they've been constantly building on to refine this voice acting, like a program or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That just requires time, because deepfakes, it's here, it's definitely here.
Is it?
It's an established.
Seemed to have been scrubbed from the world.
Yeah, it seemed to disappear, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was too powerful, that porno. I mean, sorry. The technology was too strong for humanity.
Oh, man. Well, we'll get back to the final 3. I want to go back to episode 2 real quick. I think we've talked enough about the flashbacks. Okay, cool. Maybe went on a little too long, whatever. Episode 2, though, in the current times, one of the few things it showed in the current times in episode 2 was the cousins of Jabba the Hutt. Like, they call them the twins.
Oh, I'm glad you brought these guys
What
up.
did you think about them? Because okay, so you're down. You liked them.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah, so did I, but a lot of people talk shit about them. Say like, oh, a bit cheap CG.
Oh, are they not lore?
Oh, why are the Hutts there? They're just there for member berries. Like, there's all kinds of shit talking about the Hutts. I thought they were awesome. I loved the way they interacted with each other. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but they like had this weird like they would like touch each other in weird ways, and like she would like kind of sit on him a little bit.
Or incest.
Yeah, it was a little like Jamie.
War is kind of crazy, actually.
It was a little Cersei, Jamie Lannister-ish energy there, wasn't there?
Absolutely. The only thing I can say about Hutt the two twin huts is at the end of their side storyline or whatever. Even though it had Danny Trejo, which was dope, just kind of petered out, fizzled out all of a sudden. I thought there was going to be a double betrayal there for a second. You know?
Me too.
And then it was just like, nope, that's it.
Yeah.
In that way, I can kind of see why people were just like, oh, okay, they were just there to be like, oh, the Hutts came in to be like, my son, this is my territory kind of thing. That's super shallow and lame. But I don't know. I thought this initial scene of them coming in their little exchange with each other was super cool, intense.
Yeah, I liked it.
I think episode 2 is the best episode of the first 4 episodes, without a doubt.
I kind of agree with you, not only because of the Hutts, but also because of Black Chewie. I don't know what you think about Black Chewie, but I fucking love Black Chewie, man. He was a gangster.
Yeah, and also a great character building arc.
Mm-hmm.
I was very pleased with Black Chewie. He did not disappoint me in any way. Every episode he was in, he evolved, and in the end, he got offered a job.
Mm-hmm.
That will play out in the future. Maybe in Mandalorian season 3.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, structurally, the writing in this show is like S tier. Like the way that they structure everything, it all has a purpose. It all fits together. Like a lot of puzzles don't fit together because of bad writing. This puzzle fits together perfectly. And even the part where you're talking about, the twins, you thought there was going to be this stuff with them, and then they just kind of bounce. That was also like a part of this puzzle because, like, what would make two ruthless Hutts who literally were about to shit on Boba Fett, and like they had, like you could tell they weren't worried about him at all. But then all of a sudden they just show up and they're just like, yeah, we're leaving. You should probably leave too, but whatever. We don't give a fuck about you. But here's a Rancor. Like that was great because not only does it show like the base attribute of the Hutts where they view everything as a transaction. So, like, to them, they're like, we threatened Boba Fett, we threatened his throne, we threatened his planet. We're going to leave, we're not going to start a war with him, but we still have to make it right, so we're going to give him a fucking Rancor. Because that's what Hutts do. They're transactional. They're like Ferengi from Star Trek, but a little fatter and a little grosser. I like that. And I like the fact that when he offers Black Chewie back to them, like, thanks for the Rancor, you can have your assassin back. And they're like, we're done with him. That was also another, like, pure Hutt move. That's exactly what a Hutt would do.
Pure Hutt energy, dude.
Totally, man. Like, I loved the Hutts. I loved the way they were written. And the way that they bounce like that really foreshadows and adds, like, a sinister undertone to the Pike. Are they a syndicate or a clan? The people that end up being the main enemy, the ones that run the spice trade on the planet, the Hutts are so worried about them that they just are literally bouncing the fuck out. And that whole exchange is really 100% what gives you all of your dread for the Pikes. Like, otherwise you just like, the Pikes, like some jobbers down the street, Boba Fett will shoot a rocket at their face and it'll be all over. But because of the way the Hutts react to the Pikes, all of a sudden you're like, oh fuck, what's going on with these Pikes?
Can we also talk about like when Boba gets like knocked around a little bit and he gets in there, he's dazed and he's pointing his rocket fist towards that guy escaping. And he just totally tries to blow him away. And then Fennec starts to go after him. And he's like, Fennec, alive. Like, whoa, wait a minute. Boba, you just trying to blow that dude away? What the fuck are you talking about? I found that really odd. I was like, is something going over my head here? Or was that just weird?
Well, I think all of the clones all think that they're gods. And they think that they can, like, their aim is so good that they can shoot a rocket at someone's head and not kill them because they're that good of an aim. But Fennec isn't a clone, so he's like, listen, bitch, you better not kill that guy. I don't know, but I do agree with you. I thought episode 2 was one of the better early episodes. Now let's rip the Band-Aid off here with episode 3. Now, right out the gate, I think you're going to agree with me. That's the worst episode of the 7, right?
Yes.
Yes. So, okay. Basically, this episode is, first of all, we get the guy from Office Space. The guy with the red stapler from Office Space. He is like this businessman on this planet who comes to Boba Fett and starts complaining about like these kids. How do I reach these kids? They're stealing all my water. And Boba Fett goes to take care of them, quote unquote. And he finds like a bunch of like woke hipster millennials chilling. He threatens them, and they like, they do, oh, we're strong, we'll take you out because we have to, because we have nothing left, we have nothing going for us, we have no jobs, they took our jobs. And Boba Fett's like, then I'll give you a job. That was the cool part of the episode. Everything else was bad. the part where it shows them get on the Vespa bikes and drive down the street in unison. I think it's one of the cringiest moments in Star Wars history. I think it rivals anything that Disney's ever done in terms of badness. I don't know why it made it into the show. It wasn't even necessary. They were just props. Like, they served really no purpose. They could have just given them regular speeders and it would have been fine.
Diversity tax credits.
But
they're real children.
But what do you... So these... And they're cyborgs, right? They're supposed to be cyborgs, but they're like the lamest cyborgs I've ever seen in my life. These are not RoboCops, okay? Like, these are not your daddy's cyborgs. What did you think about the Vespas, Broadcaster?
I mean, there's this part of my brain when it sees this shit immediately tunes out. Like, there's identifiers like or distinct colors in tandem, or certain ethnicities, or the lack thereof a certain ethnicity in certain scenes. I don't know. It's just this feeling, like this gut feeling. And it makes me want to throw up a little bit. And that's what I got when I got the race scene through the streets of Mos Espa. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That was so lame. And I feel like at the end, when they show up to Black Chewie's like hanging on by like a couple fingers through the Rancor slip trap. And the guy's like about to shoot, but he's so fucking incompetent because he's like, man, there's so many LGBTQ things going on in my head. I don't know if I'm allowed to shoot Black Chewie, you know? Like, he's black. Is that... wait a minute. Was regular Chewie black? He was brown. Wait a minute. Is black and brown... and so Fennec was like, I'm tired of this shit, and just put a throwing knife right in his hand.
Yeah.
I think that was symbolic of the whole episode and how I felt about it. And Fennec was like, let's get this shit over with.
Yeah. The episode's called The Streets of Mos Espa, and I mean, that is really what the episode was. It was a bunch of street urchins that were like like, you look at the portrayal of them and it's like they're clearly trying to make them like Occupy Wall Street protesters. Like, that's basically what they're supposed to be. You can't charge us for this water, we're gonna steal it. Like, it's just like that sort of energy. Like, I if Tim Pool was one of the cyborgs, I wouldn't have been surprised. I would have been like, that fits, that makes sense. Grats, Tim Pool, on your casting. But
wow,
that's not what we got. We got
shots fired.
We got like a bunch of hipsters. The girl leader, I actually liked her a little bit. She's hot and she gives me good vibes. She isn't like a super cringy character. The other ones are the ones where I'm just like, eh. And then also the bikes. Like, if you just killed the bikes, these characters wouldn't have been as bad. Really,
Yep.
almost
Yep.
all of the negative energy comes from that scene where they're driving down the street in unison like the Power Rangers on their fucking neon Vespa speeders. It's just like, dude, that should have been cut. I don't know if Favreau owed a favor to someone.
If Black Chewie killed one of them, I would have forgave it.
That would have been awesome. That would have saved the episode. But Black Chewie tries to kill Boba Fett, and the cyborgs come out like hidden ninjas and attack him. And that was kind of weird too. It was just like, really? Like, where was the defense at the gate? Like, how did he get all the way to the back to tank, and then like your last line of defense are the fucking Occupy Wall Street kids? Okay, I mean, I don't know. That was like my least favorite part of this entire series. And I remember after finishing that episode, I was like, maybe that guy who was complaining about episode 1 being like the worst Star Wars ever, maybe he was right. That's where I was starting to question myself, but it got better, Broadcaster. It did.
Let's move on from episode 3.
Yeah. Episode 4 kind of wasn't that great either. This was the episode where he hires Black Chewie because Black Chewie's like getting pissed. He's getting in bar fights and shit. That was probably the best part of the episode, by the way, was that bar fight with Black Chewie.
Oh, no doubt. It rips that dude's arm off. What's that hot ass Queelik is just like, dude, just let him down and I'll hook you up. Yeah. And he's like, nah, bitch. Fucking just rips his arm off and I'm out of here.
Yeah. And episode 4 had the last of the backstory. And it shows where Boba Fett meets Fennec Shand and how he saves Fennec Shand's life by turning her into a cyborg. I like that. I think that was the best part of the backstory. I don't know about you, but I didn't like the fact that when he took him to the mod parlor, it was the Occupy Wall Street kids in the mod parlor in the past. So essentially, Boba Fett already knew all these Occupy Wall Street kids. He knew them. They're the ones who helped him save Fennec Shand's life. Yeah. So the way he reacts to them in the previous episode feels a little weird in retrospect. Sense. Yeah, you're just kind of like, well, wait a second. If he like was friends with them and knew them, like why? What? Because when he
this could be a lacking of Temura's acting ability, or it might be a lack of the writing ability.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, this was the best part of backstory by far. After he saves Fennec Shand, they go and they fucking go back to the Sarlacc pit to like recover his armor, and like there's just a lot of cool scenes in this flashback compared to the previous flashback. So credit where credit's due. I think this is where the flashbacks worked the best, and yeah, that's really all there was to this episode. Like this episode was really backstory heavy, and what was not backstory was basically the stuff with Black Chewie. And also this is when he meets with all the other warlords of Tatooine, where he's like, you don't have to help me, I just need you to like not backstab me or whatever, right? Isn't that what happens at the end of episode 4?
Yeah, it was pretty much when he asserts his dominance, or what do they call it? Mm-hmm. Assert himself as domini.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that's the first half. If it ended there, I would have called it a mediocre run for sure. But then we get to episode 5, where we just jump right to the Mandalorian, and it sort of becomes Mandalorian Shadow Season 3. We already talked about how it opens up in the butcher shop with the Darksaber massacre, which was one of the best scenes in the entire book of Boba Fett. Then we have the armor shit, which was fucking awesome. The duel with the other Mandalorian who's like, fuck you, I get the Darksaber.
On the space bridge, dude.
Yeah, man.
That was so dope. She wasn't trying to take the Darksabers. I mean, she kind of was, but I thought it was kind of cool. She was just trying to get it. Like in the end, it was just kind of this ploy to get him to admit that he removed his helmet and broke the code, you know?
Right. Well, the guy who challenges him, Visla, he was I think that he said he was like a fucking descendant of the person who created the Darksaber. And so that was like why he's like, oh, I deserve it. I'm challenging you.
Yeah.
Felt a little weird. Like, oh, there's like almost no Mandalorians left, but you just happen to be a descendant of the one who created the Dark. That felt a little weird, but
Well, it was also so Mandalore too.
it was
Like all these fuckers fight over the dark saber. Like that's just how it is. So there's like only 3 of them, and they still fight over it.
Yeah, but it was really cool just to see the Mandalorian like back to doing what he does, like just taking jobs and on random space stations and planets, like taking out the trash, earning credits so he can go do shit, meet up with the armor, make some armor for Grogu. Like
the bounty for fucking the butcher shop, dude, was so cool, dude. Him dragging that dark saber on the ground and just cleaving people in half.
Oh yeah,
that was dope as fuck.
Yeah, and then the cherry on top. So at the end of this episode, he goes back to Tatooine to talk to the chick from Strangers with Candy, who shaved her eyebrows off. Talks to her about, fixing the Razor Crest. And this was another great... This whole episode was perfect. There were no bad scenes in it. This was another great scene where she is just like, well, yeah, I do have some to show you. And she brings him back into this room where she has...
dope part.
she has a fucking Naboo space fighter from episode 1 in shambles, but it's a fucking Naboo starfighter. And I'm just sitting here like, are you kidding me? The Mandalorian is now going to be flying around in a fucking Naboo starfighter? That is so sick. And not only that, it's like the sickest custom version of a Naboo starfighter ever. Like when they finally finish it and they show him doing a test drive and everything, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like,
it kind of reminded me of the custom chrome ship that the Queen Amidala had in episode 1.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that was awesome. The episode ends with Fennec Shand showing up to ask for Mando to join the war with Boba Fett. And he says, yeah, but I got some shit I got to do first. That's the end of the episode. And then we get to episode...
people to cut up with the Darksaber. I'll be right back, dude.
So then we get to episode 6. And it is all Jedi Master Luke with Grogu and Ahsoka Tano on this planet that he's creating his new Jedi Academy on. Just awesomeness all around. Everything about this episode was awesome too. Even the flashbacks, like when Luke's trying to help Grogu remember his past, and Grogu literally remembers Order 66 happening, and you see this flashback of these Jedi fighting these clones with Grogu. Did you not just get goosebumps watching that?
Dude.
It is so good, man. Like the writing in this show is just stellar. And oh, by the way, it's all written by Jon Favreau. Where did the guy from Swingers, how did he become the savior of writing in modern science fiction, dude? How did this happen with Jon Favreau?
He has the perfect combination of knowing people, having the talent, and also giving a fuck about the content.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, I mean, there's a lot of training. Mando shows up, sees Ahsoka, and Ahsoka basically tries to talk him out of meeting with Grogu. And Mando, at the very end, like he sees Luke and Grogu in the distance, and he realizes, she's right. It needs to be his choice if he does this. I don't want to, taint it. So he gives Ahsoka the tiny chainmail that he created from that rod. And he just leaves. And Grogu sees his ship leaving in the distance and realizes that Mando was there, but he left. And then at the very end of the episode, Luke offers him a choice. He says, if you want to be my first student and become a Jedi, you'll take this lightsaber, which, by the way, I don't know if you realize this or not. This was literally the exact lightsaber Yoda had in the prequels.
Oh shit!
Like
Was
when,
it?
yeah, like when you saw Yoda fight Dooku. Who else did Yoda fight? Did he fight Grievous too? I forget all who.
Yeah. Yeah, he fought
That
Grievous.
little tiny lightsaber he used in Episode 2 is the lightsaber that he's handing Grogu right now, or offering Grogu. And then on the other hand, the chainmail that Mando brought. He said, if you take the chainmail, you're going to leave. You're going to go back with Mando, and you will not be my student, and we'll never see each other again. And that's how the episode ends. What an amazing way to end an episode. A perfect episode already. And then you end it with like this legitimate cliffhanger where, because you don't know Grogu, he's a new character, you don't really know what he's going to decide. Like there's no way for you to extrapolate it because he's brand new. And I was thinking about that leading up all the way to episode 7. Like, fuck, is he gonna stay with Luke and just become this like secret like shadow Jedi in the background that's gonna come out later, or is he gonna go back with Mando and season 3 of the Mando is gonna be just like season 2 and 1 with Grogu? Because remember how we were all talking like, oh, Grogu's gone now, so like season 3 is gonna be the first season of Mando without Grogu. Nope. He's back. So his whole exit from the show is literally resolved in Book of Boba Fett, so he's just going to be immediately back for season 3 now.
Maybe. I mean, you make a strong point, but I think that's kind of why Boba Fett's being introduced and Fennec's being introduced. And like this whole side story and them all working together is being introduced, is to kind of fill in that gap. And honestly, episode 5 kind of proved that. When the butcher shop bounty happened, I was like, yeah, who the fuck needs Grogu?
Well,
but
as we find out in episode 7, yeah, he did need Grogu. Okay, so a lot of people made fun of episode 6 for not the same reason as episode 5, a different reason. A lot of the detractors, I don't know if you've heard anything about this or not, basically used the member berries defense on this episode. Like, oh, it's not a good episode. It's just member berries. Like, it's that type of shit. What do you think about that? Because
Cade Bane and shit?
No. Because of Luke, I guess, and R2-D2. I don't know. I mean, it's not my argument. It's just an argument I heard, very popular on, probably like the circles that like love to detract on Star Wars.
Are you talking about Mandalorian inside the Naboo space fighter with Grogu? Like the contrast?
Maybe that too.
Yeah.
All I know is that I loved episode 6 so much, and then the next day I was looking at some review, or not a review, just like some people talking about it, and it was just vitriol, like, that episode sucked, it was just member berries, all the people that like it are stupid, like all that type of shit. And I'm just like, man, is that where we're at now? Like, we can't actually have something that's good, because if it's bad, you're gonna say it's woke garbage, and if it's good, you're gonna say it's member berries. So then what's left?
Crazy, dude.
Like, that's what it's becoming.
Shit. Like what can we have?
We can't have anything now.
I just realized Matt Berry from like, I don't know, he's a juggernaut comedian from the UK. Is he British? I don't know. But he's over there. He's across the pond. The guy played 8D8, the robot that was in all the episodes, like the servant robot. I didn't even realize that. The whole series is filled with solid actors, solid writing. It has maybe one episode that is, arguably so bad that I shouldn't even say so bad, but bad enough that it brings the series down as a whole. I mean, it gives you everything, dude. You get Luke, you get Ahsoka, you get Grogu, you get Mando, you get Boba Fett back, which maybe Boba Fett's return wasn't as much as people wanted, but nonetheless, dude, Fennec comes back, which Ming-Na Wen, dude.
God, she is aging like a goddess. I don't know what is with
let's
all
be-
these women that are just
and
like
she's
in their
also-
60s that look like they're 30 still.
She's also based as fuck.
Yes, she
and
is.
she's acting, which is salute to Jon Favreau. I don't know why these people are mad. The only people that are mad about this series are losers. Okay?
I think so. I agree with you. Like the response to the Book of Boba Fett told me a lot about how far the fan base has become divided, because it rightfully is divided.
Sickness,
It should be divided, but the sides have gotten so far apart, and this kind of mimics real life politics a little bit, where like both sides now are so far apart that like civil war feels pretty much inevitable. That's how I feel about the fandom of Star Wars at this point, because like at this point you're either all on board with everything Star Wars period, or you hate everything Star Wars period, and there's no in between anymore. And if you say that you're in between, both sides will say you're on the other side. So like if I fucking critique Last Jedi and say Last Jedi was a garbage movie and 1/3 of it should have just been cut completely from the movie, I'm going to be called like an alt-right whatever. But then if I say I actually liked episode 6 of The Mandalorian because I love the Luke shit, all the people on the right wing of it are going to say, oh, you're just a fucking chud SJW who loves member berries. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, like, there's no room for any middle ground now in this fandom, I feel like. You have to be one or the other, and if you're not on either side, both sides think you're on the opposite side and you're in no man's land.
Yeah, I think I'm going to shout out to a great podcast here real quick. Dad Meat. Dad Meat podcast. These guys said something yesterday when I was at work listening to them, and it was profound, even for a couple bozos on the east side. These guys were like, right now, there's a war on joy.
Yes.
And what we're trying to do here at this podcast is give you joy. We're trying to give you joy so you go spread joy in any capacity possible. Don't let fucking people tell you shit's not funny. Don't let people tell you that you can't say gay or faggot or whatever you want. Like, screw them. Fuck them. Like, I love their attitude. If you don't want to say that shit, who cares?
Yeah.
But the attitude, the point remains.
Agreed. Yeah, it definitely does seem like there is a war on joy, and you're not allowed to like anything anymore. It's just, I don't know. I'm as critical about shit as anyone. Like, I'm not someone who just, if I like something, I think everything of that thing is the greatest thing. Like, I'm not one of those people. I critique everything, even if I love it. Just look at my fucking review of Candyman from last year. Candyman's literally my favorite fucking horror movie, and I destroyed that movie like it was a redheaded stepchild. No offense, broadcaster.
This is fucked up, dude. Why are you outing me, dude? Now people are going to be able to identify me.
Oh, shit. I just doxed you. Fuck.
You just narrowed it down even more, dude. You melted the iceberg caps, dude.
Before we get to the final episode, I just want to say one more thing about episode 6. It ends with Mando going to talk to Justified, Timothy Olyphant, who had Boba Fett's armor in Mando originally, and he was in that awesome episode from.
That's fucked up.
So
I forgot to bring that up. They did my boy wrong, dude. They did my boy wrong.
So Mando shows up to enlist him, And he basically gets him to agree, and then he leaves, and then Cad Bane shows up, and the way he approaches in the distance was, dude, the way that they did this was so awesome. In an already perfect episode, just like episode 5, they cap it in episode 6 with him just coming through the fog of dust, approaching the town
like a spaghetti western.
Yeah, exactly. And Timothy Olyphant comes out, and he like puts his hands on his holster, you know, the whole fucking Wild Wild West fucking meet you at noon type shit. And it was so awesome. The entire conversation, the portrayal of Cad Bane was so good. I think that will be one of like the unsung amazing parts of this Book of Boba Fett series is Cad Bane's portrayal in these final episodes of the show. I'm not even a huge Cad Bane fan. Like, I watched the Clone Wars animated series. I know who Cad Bane is. I like him. His portrayal in this show overshadows all of his previous appearances in Star Wars. His portrayal in this was so fucking amazing. I don't know who played him, but they were perfect.
Corey Burton played his voice.
The dude's perfect. That was amazing. Every time Cad Bane was on screen, I'm just like, this is it. This is what it's all about. And
absolutely.
And the shootout between the two where they do like the fucking who shoots first, and Cad Bane gets him, and then he says, as long as the spice flows, you'll be alive. And then he just turns around and walks into the dust storm again. Holy shit, broadcaster. We don't deserve this. Like, that is just so good.
Yeah, I wasn't even that big a fan. Like, I still to this day haven't watched all of, what is it, Rebels? Was that the one that's
Rebels
after?
sucks. Clone Wars is what's good. Clone Wars was made by George Lucas and Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
Who is the right-hand man of Jon Favreau, which is one of the reasons why... And also the creator of Bad Batch is Dave Filoni as well. So
okay.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah, so the Clone Wars animated series, it is good. You should watch it. I know the first 2 seasons.
Season 2?
We are. It's coming out in a couple months. It's already done.
For real?
Yeah, it's coming.
Oh, dope.
Yeah. I would tell you, I would make that your project, like your project show. You should watch all of Clone Wars. It is so good. The first 2 seasons are a little rough, but it gets really good past season 3. And the final season of Clone Wars is one of the greatest seasons of anything ever. It is really fucking good. You, as a Star Wars fan, you owe it to yourself to muscle through it.
Damn.
I would put it on your list of projects, and I would put it at the top. But
would you put it on the price of a Polynesian spa?
Same energy. All right, so let's talk Chapter 7, In the Name of Honor. Written by Jon Favreau, of course, like every other episode. Directed by Robert Rodriguez, one of the OGs of Star Wars lore.
Don't forget the Pike Boss voice by Phil Lamar. Anyways, go on.
This episode is, I think it's my favorite episode. I know you said 5 was your favorite, right?
Yeah.
I don't disparage you for saying that. I think 5, 6, and 7, you could name any of those 3, and I'd have respect for you. I have no problems with anyone naming any of those because all 3 are so good. But Chapter 7 had a little extra, in my opinion. First of all, Grogu showing up with R2-D2 was fucking awesome. I loved the fact that you see R2-D2 in this fucking X-Wing, and you're like, oh fuck, Luke's here? But there's no one in the cockpit, and then she has to look over, and you just see him like sitting in the bottom of the bucket like, hey, what's up, bitch? I fucking loved that.
Kind of remind me of young Anakin energy. Fucking in the Naboo fighter. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. I do know what you're saying. And I love the standoff with Cad Bane. Again, Cad Bane is so good in this. He shows up with like the Pikes assassins, I guess, like some of them, you know, and they have like this little standoff. And it's, you know, he's like, you know, all you got to do is let the Pikes run their spice trade, and you can have your little fun game here on this planet and play Boba Fett in his fucking Cad Bane voice, which I fucking love his voice. And, Boba Fett, of course, is like, fuck you, go to hell. And you think that they're about to, like, do the duel there, but then they end up not doing it because, what was it, Fennec? Was it Fennec Shand who, like, walked up to him and said, no, this isn't the right time, you're better than this, like, you're smarter than this? I think it was Fennec, right?
Yeah.
And so there's, like, a little reprieve, but war is coming. And you get to this, basically, you just go into this all-out war where all of Boba Fett's generals and lieutenants are all spread out. They all have their own little jobs. And they're preparing for war, but the war doesn't come. And they're like, what's going on here? Like, something is off. And then they realize that all of the people that were supposed to stay neutral and, not turn on him like they agreed in episode 4, they all turn on him together at the same time working for the Pikes. Like, the ultimate betrayal. Loved that. I was really upset when the Gamorrean guards got murked. Rest in peace, Gamorrean guards.
That was weak, dude.
I thought Black Chewie was going to die too. He ends up not dying.
Nah, dude, there's bigger things in store for him.
What I was thinking the entire episode is, please kill the Power Rangers. But
dude, we're about to have a black first round Chewie off here soon, dude.
Yeah. So this just turns into like an all-out war. And Grogu shows up, and you have like this crazy reunion with Mando and Grogu, which, it hasn't been that long since they got separated, but I'm going to say that when they got reunited, I felt the feels. It was a good moment. The Boba Fett just like, hold on, I need to go get something. He just bounces and he shows back up riding his fucking Rancor. Dude, this is
so dope.
This is like one of the coolest moments in Star Wars history. Watching Boba Fett ride a fucking Rancor and just devastate. Like, it was so good. Then we have the two droidicas.
Cad didn't give a fuck about that Rancor, though. Let's be real here. He fucked that thing up real quick.
No. Yeah, so Cad basically bounces, and then like two super droidicas show up. And droidicas are those separatist droids from episode 1 that you'll remember when Anakin and Obi-Wan were negotiating with the Trade Federation in episode 1, at the very beginning of episode 1, and they get betrayed by Newt Gunray. Those droidicas show up. That's what those fucking robots that they were using. I don't know if they have a different name. They must, because they're different, but they are droidicas. They're just like giant super droidicas. I fucking loved that.
It's crazy how much he knows. Jon Favreau knows what's cool in Star Wars. Like, he knows what people want to see to the T.
Mm-hmm.
Like, droidicas were one of the coolest parts of episode 1. The Naboo fighter was one of the coolest parts of the original episodes. Well, I mean,
Favreau respects the prequels.
Dude,
most of the fan base doesn't respect the prequels, but Jon Favreau does, because he's a fucking smart man. He's a gentleman with taste.
Yeah, it's crazy the disrespect episode 1 gets. And I mean, 3's liked, isn't it? For the most part.
I think people in retrospect came around to 3, but I heard so much shit talking about 3 when it first came out too. Like, that's a new sentiment. Like, when did Revenge of the Sith come out? Was it like 2003, 2004?
I can't remember.
It was around there. And I remember fucking loving it. And I remember having these just baffling conversations with people where they're talking shit about it. And I'm just like, I remember at the time just like not even knowing how to deal with it, you know, on an interpersonal level. Like I'd be talking to these people and I would just be so baffled that I didn't even know what to say to them because it's like they were experiencing a different reality from me. I
Yeah, it's
fucking
crazy, dude.
love Revenge of the Sith. It is a
Dude, all the movies were dope. Clone Wars, General Grievous,
they were all good.
fucking
They were.
all that shit.
I think that as time has gone on, people have warmed up to Revenge of the Sith, but people still have not warmed up to Attack of the Clones or Phantom Menace. People still hate those two for some reason. I get episode 2, all the romance with Anakin and Padme was cringy. I get it. Compartmentalization, homies, okay? There can be bad parts of great movies. It can happen. Anyway, when Boba Fett shows up on his Rancor and just starts like getting in a boxing match with the Super Droideka, I was just sitting there just like I was like a little fucking kid on Christmas morning watching that shit. It was so good. I couldn't believe how awesome that was.
Yeah, it's definitely like it feels like one of those things you make up in your head when you were a kid.
Exactly.
You know, but you didn't, and you're like, damn, why didn't I think of this?
Yeah. I liked the way that Cad Bane showed up and scared the Rancor away. That was like
Dude.
some 4D chess shit.
Dude, Cad is one of those really cool villains where he actually like wins most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was really cool to see this be the end for Cad because it was a really awesome end for him.
Mm-hmm. It was, and I love the subversion, like, because you hear a lot of people talk about subverting expectations, and usually when people say that now, they say it in a horrible way, like the black elf from the fucking Lord of the Rings trailer we just watched. Oh, we're just subverting your expectations. No. Subverting your expectations is when you have Boba Fett and Cad Bane duel, and Cad Bane wins. Cad Bane won that duel. And
no doubt.
Then Boba Fett kind of cheated and took Cad Bane out with his fucking his sand people stick.
Yeah.
But technically speaking, Cad Bane won that fucking duel. I would have never expected. It's called the Book of Boba Fett. You don't expect Cad Bane to beat Boba Fett in a fucking duel.
Dude, Boba's not honorable though. Come on.
No,
and you know Cad wouldn't have been honorable either.
No. Yeah. Oh man. I love that. I loved all that. Man, I love this episode so much.
It was really well done.
When I think about this episode, I get like goosebumps a little bit, like reliving it in my mind. And we get to the part where, Bane's dead, but then there's the Rancor just kind of starts going insane and going like on a rampage, which I love that too. Like, cause it's a Rancor. It's not Lassie. It's a fucking Rancor. So I loved how it just started going on a rampage. And I loved how, again, this like puzzle writing, like all the puzzle pieces come together. You're like, why is Grogu here? Oh, he's just here to be here. No, Grogu is the secret weapon. He fucking uses Force Sleep on the Rancor, dude. I haven't seen Force Sleep since Jedi Knight 2.
Dude. And and then in that moment, you're like, Favreau played Jedi Knights too, dude.
Yep, exactly. And it's like, oh fuck, Kyle Katarn movie confirmed, written and directed by Jon Favreau.
Dude, oh shit, dude. What if we get a Predator 1 style handshake, Kyle Katarn and the Mandalorian coming together for a power fist?
Oh
dude,
my god.
That'd be unbelievable.
We don't.
Can that even happen timeline wise?
I don't know.
Hold on a second. When's Jedi Knights 2?
That takes place in the same. I think it actually takes place after. So I think Kyle Katarn would not. He'd be young. I think that actually, like, when we play Dark Forces and we play Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight, I think that actually takes place like 10, 15 years after where Book of Boba Fett takes place. So there would have to be a time skip or something. But it could happen. Like, they're close enough to where there could be a crossover there.
That's all not canon anyways, right?
Well, who knows what canon is anymore? Canon is such a loosey-goosey thing at this point. But so to finish the episode off, I think we get Fennec Shan's best moment in the entire series. This was like Fennec Shan. You can say a lot about her. Like, she's not bad. She has sort of weirdness, like, with her character, like, where she's like this ruthless bounty hunter, but she sort of has like this sort of mom energy. I don't know if you noticed that or not. She has MILF energy. Like, she has like this, like, make sure you eat your sandwich at school today, or, you know, you're going to be grounded. You need to grow big and strong. But by the way, I'm like one of the most deadly assassins on the planet. And she shows at the end of this episode where it kind of just like cuts to the Pikes hanging out with like those dudes that betrayed Boba that were supposed to stay neutral but didn't. And it shows all of them in this lot, and they're like, "What happened? How'd we lose?" And they're like, "I don't know."
You mean Phil Lamar?
Yeah. But we're leaving. And they're like, "Wait a second, we're leaving, but we just helped you betray Boba Fett. You can't leave us here." And they're like, "Well, good luck with that." Then Fennec Shan drops from the sky like a Black Widow and just assassinates the entire room in like the coolest scene she has ever been in. That the actress that plays Fennec Shan, Ming Hua, this was literally the coolest thing she's ever done in her life. It was out of Assassin's Creed, dude. It was sick as fuck.
It was super dope. She doesn't get enough action, dude. She's like one of those, like, I'll even go as far to say that Ming Hua could be like a Sigourney Weaver, Ripley level actress if she was given the chance.
Definitely.
But she never was given the chance.
Nope. She was fucking amazing in SGU too. Like, I've rewatched SGU like 3 or 4 times now, and every time I watch it again, I look at her character better and better. Yep. She was really good in that show. She was like kind of an unsung hero of that show.
Dude, everyone was. People in that show were like good.
Even Eli.
Fucking Eli, dude.
The Wesley Crusher of SGU.
Go play with your Kino, bitch.
Yes. So that's basically the end. That's the end of the Book of Boba Fett. There's one final scene where, and this was probably my least favorite part of the last episode. It just shows Timothy Olyphant's character in the Bacta tank. He's not dead. He's alive. That's essentially the message here. The final scene is him in the Bacta tank. With
you're damn right, because my boy Timothy would not sign on the dotted line if he was just going to get fucking taken out by some dude that gets taken out 2 episodes later, dude. There's no way.
and they strongly imply, by the presence of one of those cyborg guys with their tools, that they're going to cyborg up Timothy Olyphant. So he essentially is about to be turned into a cyborg, and that's how Book of Boba Fett ends.
Yep.
I liked the idea of Timothy Olyphant dying like that, like, because I think it really like cemented Cad Bane's role in this show when he killed Timothy Olyphant. It's okay that he's alive. I kind of like the cyborg angle. It's kind of, it's like RoboCop. You know, he's basically RoboCop now. He got killed in the line of duty by
that's what's up.
The guy.
He's a Western cop.
Yeah, like, Michael Ironside murdered him, and now he's going to be revived as a robot, and that's cool. I feel like it kind of cheapens Cad Bane a little bit by them doing that, but grasping at straws here. Episode 7 was fucking amazing.
How old Cad must be?
Oh,
to be old in this series, he must be fucking a geezer.
He's old, and to have the sway to be able to kill Cad Bane off really shows you that Jon Favreau has the keys to the kingdom now.
Oh, no doubt.
I get Cad Bane isn't Luke Skywalker, but to just be allowed to kill off a character like him that is very prolific, that's been in multiple shows, that's had many aspects in the Star Wars universe, to be able to just kill him like that, to me says Favreau gets to do what he wants now. And that's good. That's good for the future of Star Wars, because that's what you want. You want someone to have the keys that is willing and able to do shit like that.
Yeah. It's also what fuels the fire under other people's asses to create better things when the other things disappear off the shelf. Indeed.
All right, broadcaster. As you know, here in the Crack Cellar, we have a official, patented Ghostbusters rating system in which we rate all of our clandestine operations. On that system, broadcaster, what do you rate the Book of Boba Fett?
Every now and then, I just want to slime everything.
Just want to cover the world in slime.
I want to slime it all. But the Book of Boba Fett, while starting off slow, gentlemen and ladies, and other zeros and ones, it picked up steam like the train from Back to the Future 3, dude. Okay? And I'm just gonna have to give it an S. I have to, because even if you cut the first 4 episodes out, you just delete them, throw them off into the void of space. All right, the last 3 episodes are an S, and there's so much an S that they bleed out S energy to the other 4 episodes. Okay.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And it might be, maybe it's just me gushing over, episode 1 elements, God, I'm getting old. I have to count now. Episode 6 elements, there's Black Chew. That alone, just to create the brand new elements, creativity, people, creativity that was there is just, it's astounding. And it's so hopeful it makes me so hopeful for the future of the IP and just the entertainment industry in general, when people like Jon Favreau can come along and, like you just said moments ago, have the keys to the castle and be able to kill off prolific characters like Cad Bane. That is so rare. And even when it is done most of the time, it's lame and people regret it. And they're like, really? That's it? But there's none of that in this series. None of that.
None. And how excited does Book of Boba Fett make you for Mando Season 3? Because I was excited for Mando Season 3, but it was a slow, simmering excitement. After watching Book of Boba Fett, I am fucking pumped for Season 3 of Mando, because that it's essentially just going to be a continuation of Book of Boba Fett. That's what the final 3 episodes were. Mando was in the entire thing for the final 3 episodes. He was a main character. It was a continuation of The Mandalorian. It was him paying back Boba Fett for when Boba Fett helped him out in Mando Season 2. And now you look at Season 3 and you're just like, oh god, the possibilities. He's got Grogu back. He has the Naboo Starfighter. He has Boba Fett and Fennec Shand as his buddies now. Like what the fuck are they going to do in Season 3? Oh man.
Something, I'm glad you just said that about Grogu, because I forgot to bring this up when you were bringing up the choice Ahsoka gave him with the lightsaber of the male.
Oh, this is Luke.
Oh yeah, sorry, Luke. That was very reminiscent of Yoda giving the choice to Luke to go save his friends
yeah.
from Darth Vader.
I forgot. You're right. That is exactly the same.
So when you were bringing it up as like this total ultimatum, like he's never going to see Luke again and he's not going to do the Jedi path, not at all. It actually means the opposite. It probably means that they're paying homage and crafting his Jedi way to the same way Luke's played out.
Yeah.
But in a young Yoda, which is super cool and meta in a way, you know? So
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that episode 6 proved is that Luke Skywalker is not just a prop in this universe. He is a living, breathing character. And the sky...
Which I was really surprised by.
Me too.
I'm not going to lie.
But now you look at Mando season 3 and the sky is the fucking limit, dude. Like with... Luke could be in the entire season 3 for all we know. Like, there's so much potential. It reminds me...
I hope not.
It reminds me of Destiny. Let's just hope it doesn't end like Destiny.
Luke, CGI Luke, while I love that his voice is getting better, I love that it only can go up from here as far as CGI goes, he's still alien. And it's not real. And I feel like they still need to treat it like that. You know, it needs to be like a cherry on top. I don't want him to be like this character that sticks around too long in scenes where you start to notice the flaws, because that's going to start to ruin the character. I mean,
it's a fair point. I mean, that's a fair point. I agree with you to a certain extent, but at the same time,
because no one else is CGI.
I just like... In my head, like, I just imagine, like, season 3 of Mando, like, with Mando, Grogu, and Jedi Master Luke, like, going on missions together. Like, I just, like, imagine that in my head, and I'm just like, oh, God. Like,
that'd be so dope.
That could literally break my brain thinking about how sick that could be. But, I mean, I agree with you, too. Like, you don't want to see the magician behind the fucking curtain. Yeah. I agree with you on that, but... Well, either way, that's a long-winded way of me getting to my rank, which is also a big, fat boogeyman. This is the best of the best. People that talk shit about Book of Boba Fett, I think they're a bunch of jobbers. I think they're a bunch of jabronis. I have no respect for them. I think they're intellectually bankrupt. And I think this is
swollen amygdalas, dude.
Yeah, they got swollen fucking amygdalas, and I think they can go all jump into a fucking Sarlacc pit and get bone fucked by a tentacle. I don't give a fuck. Book of Boba Fett is a hard S. And with that, we will close out.
Polynesian Spa.